lot of things happening today on the global stage, and of course, Japan is leading the way. This will be one that will explain a little bit of what happened in Japan and also how this affected what happened in crypto, possibly a buying opportunity for all of you. Don't miss it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into TechPath. I want to thank our sponsor today, Margex. And if you guys are into trading, you want to get into a little bit more of the derivatives side of things, jump over to margex.com. You can deposit and receive some bonus by just using our code. We always put a link right down below. The other thing that you can do is once you get into Margex and you make your first deposit, you get your bonus back, go into the trading console. And the cool thing is hit that little wallet button right there and hit the promo code. This is going to pop up, and use the code that we have down below. This will give you additional perks and bonuses when you sign up. So check it all out. Go to margex.com. All right, let's go into a couple of topics here. I want to get into the first tweet here. Bank of Japan calms the markets. They pledged no rate hikes during market instability. This sparked a rebound in the Asian markets. Japan was plus 0.2. Korea was up 1.8. And then, of course, Taiwan. Monday's meltdown due in part to rate hike fears. And I think a lot of people have been looking at this. Global asset classes pretty much shaken across the globe. And I think now we might see a little bit of a pause. And maybe I think that what has happened is the Japanese have seen the trickle-down effect start to work its way into markets and have a big backlash effect on Japan itself. So that in itself is a good news right there. So Bank of Japan got spooked. They came in and did an emergency meeting, said, hey, we're going to go in here, no rate hikes if the markets were unstable. I can't imagine why. Biggest exporters of banks' toolkit is, of course, rates. Remember, it's not just a temporary thing. Stronger yen will eventually mean EPS revisions for these companies. So I think this could be good in the sense of when you look at the macro effect here, and you look at not only what's happening in the U.S. and how the carry trade works, what this kind of impact had on the crypto market in general. Hopefully we've seen a little bit of stability and we'll start to see some movement here. But however, I would say this, is there still are macro fears in the market right now. All right, here I've got a clip from Bloomberg. This is talking about whether this was the right move or not. Take a look.
Do you think the BOJ is doing the wrong thing this morning and blinking?
I do. I think what they meant to do is to press the pause button instead of press the rewind button. So rather than provide the market the opportunity to exit these carry trade in orderly fashion, they've given a signal to the market to put on more of the trade. And that ultimately is going to conflict with their domestic economic requirements.
Do you think that central banks are afraid to lead in this moment? And if so, why?
I think no one wants to be the Volcker moment. So what they'd rather do is see someone else try to do it. And if you need to reverse course, let them reverse course. I suspect there was enormous external pressure on the Bank of Japan last night. You probably went to bed too early, but Japanese stocks were indicated down hard. That was putting pressure on U.S. futures. And next thing you know, the Bank of Japan comes out. When
you say enormous external pressure, what external pressure are you talking about?
So the narrative has evolved. And this actually speaks to a fundamental issue that there are no anchors to this market. There's no longer a growth anchor. There's no longer a policy anchor. So the narrative on Thursday and Friday was that the market disruption was due to economic developments in the U.S. Then comes Monday, and suddenly everybody's pointing the finger at Japan. And by today, if you've noticed, the people who've come on have talked all about positioning. Positioning has become the main culprit for what has happened. And people forgot Thursday and Friday. And the minute you say positioning, you immediately look at Japan. So the narrative has evolved to put the emphasis on Japan as being the cause. Now, all those people who rushed to predict intermittent cuts and everything else are going to have to scramble and get back on stage. I mean, it's fascinating to me to watch a really well-paid industry whipsawed the way it has been whipsawed.
Yeah, I think that's the surprise to me, is the fact that we did see this kind of move quickly. And you're right, he's right. I mean, these are experts, have been in the industry for decades. It also presents maybe a challenge that you have to look at and say, maybe the markets are finally at a point where they really don't know what is going on, which of course benefits, I think, crypto and risk assets. However, that being said, Jump Trading could sell 80 million in ETH. Data reveals they unstaked 11,500 ETH valued at 29 million from Lido. And a couple other points right here. According to Spot on Chain, Jump Trading unstaked the amount for 29 mil. firm also applied to redeem over 14,000 in ETH valued at 48 million. I know that's not a lot, but as they start to unwind their portfolio, I think that's going to be the real question. This tweet right here kind of goes in a little bit more on what they're doing on their portfolio. You can kind of see right here, if you have exposure in some of these, just be aware, could this have some impact on Solana? There, of course, is Lido, along with a handful of other tokens like SWI, Celestia, Say is in there, and a handful of others that I think have been moving pretty heavily. So their portfolio is down 83% from the all-time high, and then most tokens have dropped off significantly. So this will be, could be a moment right now for what's going to be happening with Jump Crypto. I want to go to a clip real quick because this is where Cathie Wood takes a harder look at this whole issue. Take a look.
Jump Trading, which has a big crypto book, has been unwinding its book in a way that is, to me, suggests that they are being forced to unwind it, as in they've been doing it in ways that are not very market friendly in reasonably large size.
Yeah, and the CEO of Jump left.
Yeah, and he was a young person. So if you're 25 years old, you haven't been through that many market cycles. I know crypto happens very quickly, but and so
we're trying to connect some dots. The CEO of that division leaves. They are unwinding the book. Clearly, I don't know if the regulators have gotten in there. We don't know what is going on. They could have been part of the carry trade in ways that we just don't understand. All of those speculators and others betting that the yen would continue to at least be stable or go down, they are probably being hit by margin calls. And we're trying to figure out who they are.
Well, and Jump Trading has a tradition. Like, you could imagine if there's a trading firm that gets cut out, you know, it would be somebody that has a crypto book and also is running trade making in kind of other areas. Try to Google search and figure out who those guys are. It's very mysterious. We know they've taken multi-$100 million hits against FTX and against the wormhole hack, and they were Terra Luna exposed and kind of have seemingly danced through it all. You know, we don't know like how they're financed, what their balance sheet looks like, how much leverage they could have taken on. And like you say, Cathie, there is leverage out there on the carry trade. Like if you look at yen lending by Japanese banks, it's on the order of $1.7 trillion, it looks like, about half of which is to other bank and the other half is to non-bank financial institutions. So think of like the shadow banking sector. So if you have $700 billion of loaned money out there that has bought stuff, and suddenly that's all, the cost of that loaned money has gone up, and you know, suddenly the assets that's supposed to collateralize the loan money is falling apart, then it takes time for that to unwind and cascade through and hit people.
All right, so a lot of things to unwrap there because they made a couple of statements there. One, of course, is the issue of the possible involvement in the carry trade around Japan. And really, if you think about the Japanese carry trade, I mean, it's kind of old school models where you get money at zero, you out leverage into the market, you're making money until those rates go up, then it's, you know, it messes everything up on the backside. So if they were caught up in that, sure, there's going to be some problems there. But to their point, this is one of those companies also that has been on the fringe of crypto. Granted, there's a lot of those kinds of investment firms out there. The thing that concerns me the most right now, I would say, is going to be Firedancer. Remember, Jump Crypto, very involved in Firedancer. Remember that the Solana event is happening here in the next few months. Whether or not we're going to see Firedancer actually get launched, that'll be a big question, I think, for what's going to happen at Breakpoint. So be on the lookout for that. Keep your eyes open here. It is a big issue right now with the Solana community. Now, that being said, you know, kind of the negative side of it on more of a FUD position. Let's go to more of a pro position. Here's Jeff Dorman, who is Arca's CIO. Listen to what he had to say.
A lot of people are tying the Jump Trading ETH sales on Sunday to the yen carry trade, completely guessing that why else would these two things be tied? Throughout the course of the last couple of weeks was losing money, realized that it was going to open again down on Sunday night, had to sell whatever collateral they could to free up cash, and ETH is the only market available on a Sunday morning. It's plausible. I certainly don't have any knowledge for sure to know if that is the case. There are rumors that Jump is exiting crypto and shutting down. I think that is incorrect. I think we have a fair amount of data points to suggest that Jump is not going anywhere. I just don't see any evidence of it. And I think that this is one of the best buying opportunities that you will see all year as a result.
All right, so we'll see if that is the other side of the base right now. A couple other analysts out there right now looking at this, the Jump rebalance playing out in real time. Because Fire Dancer could be in a position to run the NASDAQ and a lot of the stablecoin rails. This would put Solana and Ethereum in pretty good positions from a dominant standpoint and overall market, dominance. And I think if all of this plays out, yeah, okay, there are some signals here that could kind of point to that direction. But it's kind of like what someone said the other day on a live stream. When there's smoke in those kinds of scenarios, is there fire? Is there something going on? And we've seen enough of this happen before, from Voyager to Celsius to what's happened with FTX. We start to recognize these patterns. Is Jump going to be one of those going forward? One thing to kind of look at right here: Solana year to date up 51, Bitcoin year to date up 36, and ETH year to date up 11. So everybody kind of says, well, we kind of let the charts do the talking, and that is the case. ETH is clearly lagging, even with the ETF. Some of the people that are kind of keeping this on their radar, preferring SOL after, kind of avoiding the suits. I think this is going to be interesting to play out. Plus, I think the trade that you look at from a Solana standpoint, for it to be able to bounce back so quickly off of this move that we saw from the Japanese, impact. Pretty impressive, even more so than I think that many of the projects did not anticipate that kind of move. Here, of course, is the SOL ETH trade, just a little bit. Solana is about to enter a price discovery in terms of its price versus Ethereum. This is another reason that I think a lot of people are still looking at Solana, even though I still think right now, as it plays out around the 150 mark, that could be a change. So just a quick look at the Solana ETH chart right here. You can kind of see about to enter price discovery in terms of its price versus Ethereum. If you look at the chart overall, all this range right here now starting to really break out. So this could be a scenario where Solana continues its trek in terms of being the chosen one in terms of this bull run. We'll see how this plays out. It's one that we are definitely watching very close. $2 billion in Ethereum in this move right now. Our Chinese seized assets about to crash the market. This will be another issue where we could see some more FUD as Ethereum wallets linked to the Plus token Ponzi scheme suddenly become active. So this will transfer about 820,000 ETH, over 2 billion just in the past 24 hours. These wallets, of course, have been inactive for more than 3 years. So this possibly puts out another scenario around another crypto crash, especially around Ethereum. All right, so let's go over to this news right here. BlackRock and NASDAQ, of course, aiming to expand the Ethereum investment with a new ETF options proposal. That in itself could be another play, and there's some good dates here. 21 days to comment on the proposal with a final SEC decision expected by April 9th, 2025. So this will be next year. But NASDAQ's experience with options trading on commodity ETF positions, so it's well to extend similar offerings to Ethereum ETFs. Could be a good move here. And again, BlackRock, I think, very pro on the whole idea of ETFs, especially coming from these risk assets. We'll probably see a lot more of these coming into the market. Other points I want to hit on right here: Morgan Stanley clients get permission now to expand Bitcoin ETF investments starting today. And this is going to hit a lot of people. The ETFs will now be available through another 15,000, let me zoom in on that for you guys, 15,000 financial advisors and their clients with a net worth of at least 1.5 million. So this is bringing in some pretty significant money on people who are maybe looking for alternatives out there. And I think this will be a big one because it's really starting to leverage into the size of the market overall. It will grant access to two of the most popular Bitcoin ETFs, BlackRock's iShares and IBIT, and then the Fidelity Wise Origin Bitcoin Fund, FBDC. Their move makes a provision for shifting scenery with digital assets by placing familiar financial instruments in front of all these Morgan Stanley clients. So this would be bullish. I think this is bullish in general, but again, it does get into the whole idea of centralized. I understand that. I hear your complaints about that. So one thing to carry on with this is just the framework of how Morgan Stanley is addressing this for the market. One is it's very positive for the markets in general, and it also kind of now gives a new opportunity, because many people were saying the wirehouses, you know, we had Cathie Wood talking about this earlier, the wirehouses weren't exposed to this, now they will be. This, of course, also starts to generate opportunities for more products. So you're going to see more products coming in on Bitcoin and ETH. That'll play into this as well. All of this very positive. So could this be maybe the last real buying opportunity before we see these run-ups take off? There are other factors that play into this. Obviously, interest rate. Yes, that's going to be most likely coming down in September. We have an election coming up. Yes, that's going to happen in November. All of this still very bullish as long as we don't see something crazy that's more of a black swan, gray swan event that starts to hit the markets. So right now could be an interesting time for getting back into the market in a way that might be positioning, you know, some of your projects out there. Other things that are happening right now, Crypto for Harris. This is a town hall that is now going to be the event. It's happening on Wednesday night. This is right before the meeting in DC with Ro Khanna. So that's kind of the roundtable, 2 different events, but this is one that we might get a little bit of a hint of the Harris campaign's position on crypto. Could open things up for it. We'll see how this plays out for sure. Eleanor Terrett, of course, breaking some details right here on Crypto for Harris, the group behind it. This is organizers of the mixed industry participants, including Sheila Warren of the Crypto Council. So kudos to Sheila for getting that done. Next week's town hall also is going to be featuring, I think, our one best opportunity is going to be Richie Torres. I think he is really a rock star when it comes to understanding. And this guy's a Democrat, so definitely good. Wiley Nickel will be there, Don Davis, and a handful of others with, of course, Ro Khanna and Mark Cuban and Scaramucci. We'll see how this plays out because, listen, at this point, we are in a position right now where we don't really understand what many of these candidates stand for, especially around blockchain, especially from the Democrats, because it's been a scenario where the Biden administration just has not really opened up to that. Maybe things are changing. We will see. All right, with all that being said, I want to jump to this clip right here. This is David Plouffe, which is one of the campaign managers now, former blockchain enthusiast and also involved in a lot of different projects. And he talks about the potential here. So take a look.
I spent some time at Uber and still do some work for them now. And there's some lessons there, which is, I think oftentimes when a new technology comes, we saw that with Airbnb too, you know, policymakers and regulators will say, how do we fit this new thing into our old regulations? And that generally doesn't work. I know that from being in government. I mean, I remember when Barack Obama asked us in government, he wanted every regulation reviewed that was on the books to make sure it was still fit for purpose. And we got rid of hundreds of them, if not thousands, that might have made sense, you know, 30 years ago, but didn't make sense anymore. So the question is, how do you craft new regulations? Because there has to be new regulations. How do we help raise wages? Incredibly important. But there's a flip side that you can also focus on, which is how do we decrease costs? You know, it has the same effect on people's bottom line. And I think crypto and blockchain ultimately can save people a lot of money, particularly in the lower end of the income spectrum, which couldn't be more important. And I'd like to see governments, you know, openly talk about the value of these platforms. You know, real estate, rental agreements, small business loans, you know, all the way down to remittances. All of those things right now, super burdensome, lots of time, a lot of fees. And I think this technology offers the promise to reduce a lot of that. You want to make sure that a lot of that is fostered here in the United States.
And now, David has indeed joined the Harris-Walz campaign as a senior advisor. Interesting.
So, your take on the pick?
These are mainstream popular accomplishments, cutting taxes, you know, especially aimed at small businesses and working families. And of course, if J.D. Vance decides to debate, you know, Donald Trump right now is in the mode of ducking debates. I look forward to that debate. I mean, Tim Walz is normal, mainstream, and happy. And J.D. Vance is weird, extreme, and angry.
All right, so the good thing here is that maybe on both sides we have crypto positions now, and that's the good thing that is going to be great for everybody out there. So if you're a single issue, which I think if you're following us on our channel, you probably are a single issue voter, and that is something that's good for crypto in general. Kevin O'Leary actually talked a little bit more in detail what he thought about what was happening. Take a look.
And I'm happy to finance with a Democrat or Republican or an independent. When you're trying to raise $1 billion, you don't care where it comes from. And so we've been talking a lot about strategy here regarding Harris. How come she hasn't taken an interview yet? And I'll tell you exactly why. Fundraising is paramount right now, and she is knocking out the lights in low amounts and in high amounts. And so with her strategists last week, they decided they're not going to go in front of any press. They don't have to. They're going to get the euphoria of today. They will dominate the airwaves and social media today, right in to the convention, suck the air out of all the media then, and raise another, hopefully, $200 million. So the game doesn't start on policy until after that happens, because there's absolutely no reason to stop this momentum. And that's a smart move. And in asking these advisors, that 20% in the 7 swing states, that's everything. Trump and his team are painting her with such a radical brush that's damaging in the swing states, and it can't go on forever. So she's balancing. Do I keep raising money, or do I get myself into a policy debate on the air on a national network? And I think money first, always money first in politics. Suck every drop, ride the euphoria, then let's deal with this move to the center. And that's when it's going to get interesting. And one last thought. Vice presidents are completely inconsequential. They are irrelevant, as she was 17 days ago.
All right, so a lot being said there by O'Leary. And ironically, I agree with him in the sense that, yes, these are strategies in which you look at, if you're raising money, it's kind of like when you're fundraising for a startup, same kind of thing. You're out there pounding the streets trying to get that startup money raised, and that's the same kind of thing around political. That last 60 days to 45 days is going to be critical around this campaign. So a lot happening here. Other things that are happening is this right here. Pro-crypto super PAC Fairshake has just now announced it's going to spend $25 million on TV ads to support 18 House candidates. That's the big deal here, because we've already started to see losses that have started to come in on things like the House Democrats. Again, this is money on money, guys. This is where we're going to be looking at how do you win the House and the Senate, because at the end of the day, you're going to need to be able to pass law. And to do that, you cannot have situations where you cannot get through both the House and the Senate and into the president's desk. So a lot of things happening right now, so many moving parts, and a lot of chess is now being played out there. If you look at this, it is getting close, very close on the election itself. We'll see how this plays out over the next few months as things start to get a little bit more tight. And I want to go a little bit on to things that are coming out of the Trump camp. This is Eric Trump talking about he's fallen in love with crypto, specifically DeFi, so stay tuned for a big announcement. I don't know what they're up to, because it's both Eric and also Donald Trump Jr. talking about this, and we're about to shake up the crypto world, something huge. Decentralized finance is the future. Don't get left behind. This is interesting. If it's good for the crypto community, this will be great. If it's good for the Trump family, I don't know that this would be a good thing to be, spouting with this. If they have a strategy that does something with DeFi that is part of policy, okay, back in the game. I think that is something that would be creative and could start to edge into which camp has the best opportunity. It is so interesting to see that crypto is in the center crosshairs of all of these situations playing into what's happening around the political landscape right now. This is good for the market, I think, in general, and I think it's going to be good for the United States. So if you guys are not part of our Diamond Circle, get in right now, because that is what keeps innovation coming into PBN, and that is, of course, you guys. And we love to get your comments. Always drop some comments down below if you're not subscribed to the channel. Make sure and hit that subscribe button right now. Do it today, because it makes a difference on being able to get this news out there to people who maybe for the first time starting to try to correct their own financial condition and get into crypto. We'll see how it all plays out. If you're not following me on X, do that, @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.